The original Jumanji in the 1990s is probably most remembered for having Robin Williams at the center role. Really, aside from that, it's kind of got a long beginning, but it's a fun 90s cheesy movie. So it was kind of surprising when they brought it back in 2017 with Welcome to the Jungle. And Welcome to the Jungle wasn't anything particularly special either, however, it was at least fun. It was more than tolerable at least, it had a few good laughs. Again, nothing special. But both of those movies, I would watch 10 times over each before I went back to see Jumanji: The Next Level. A lot of people kind of forgot that this movie was coming out this year, I guess since Star Wars is out at around the same time. But the thing is that even though it's been, I think, a success at the box office, relatively speaking, probably not as much as the first one, it's really, really bad, this new one. So, it's technically Jumanji 3, but it's also technically Jumanji 2. This movie really doesn't need to exist. Yeah. Like, again, first one, nifty ideas, fun enough character dynamics to make it was at least tolerable. One thing I can say about the first one, or the second one, however you want to look at it, it's that despite a lack of substance, it wasn't really overbearing. But the next level takes that to a whole new level. The movie did not prove that it was worthy to exist. At least Jumanji 2017 proved that, you know what, it could exist. Jumanji 2019 is not the same story. So unfortunately, the result is that Jumanji 2/Jumanji 3, however you want to look at it, it's kind of the worst crime a movie can be. It's boring. And I mean, like, sure, you can look at Cats and say that movie's boring, but it's almost fun in a way, the way that the movie is. It was genuine. I think people actually cared. And passion in cinema, regardless if the movie is great or bad, is a huge asset to how much somebody can enjoy that film. And I can't see a drop of passion or genuine creativity in Jumanji: The Next Level. So, it is definitely one of the worst movies I've seen this year. In fact, I'd honestly say Cats is, genuinely speaking, a better movie than Jumanji. I would rather watch Ma over Jumanji. So really, I'm just gonna dive straight into the plot. I'm gonna go through this whole fucking movie. Because this movie, it's not even a train wreck. It's barely even a train, much less a wheel. It never gets going. So, the plot kind of starts out with all of the main characters that we loved and cherished from the first film. I'm speaking about the kids, not even like the cast that were in the video game. Oh yeah, so just to make sure anybody who doesn't know what Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle is about, they find a video game, they get sucked in, and they're all different actors, and ha 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 ha, how funny. But in this movie, ooh, they subverse your expectations, alright? Because it's awful. So, they get back in the game. Well, they have to, right? So there's even a plot to the film, because the movie can't have a plot without going back in the game. However, Danny DeVito is in the film, and I mean, he's the best part of the movie. It feels like a cop-out to say that he is, but you know what? At least he kind of just doesn't give a fuck. At least he's there to have fun. Danny DeVito is always a light in bad movies, especially boring ones, because at least he's just there to have fun. Yeah, so Danny DeVito is definitely the best part of this movie. He also has his friend there, Milo, who's kind of barely in the movie, honestly, relatively speaking. So the entire theme about that is that they're old and they don't really like being old, at least especially Danny DeVito, and they don't really understand what's going on the whole time. That's the whole joke. It kind of gets old very fast, but at the same time, you know what, it's charming enough. Fine, at least it's some actual humor in the movie, because most of it's trash. Danny DeVito actually does have a character arc. I would say that some other characters have a character arc, but they're shit. Danny DeVito's is at least, like, so superficial that it's at least tolerable of a character arc, and it's dumb. It's kind of stupid. It's extremely predictable, and I'm gonna get into that. But the rest of the characters, quote-unquote character arcs, yeah, they're shit. And now I'm just gonna dissect that movie further. So it starts off with the boy from Hereditary. So he's in college, he's in New York, and he's all fucking depressed and shit. Because guess what? It's raining outside. And rain's the worst. You can't deal with rain. But it's actually because he's sad, because he woke up with Nose Ring Girl. So he comes home and he's carrying a suitcase, and since he's a weakling, he's trying to just lug it around with him. So he comes home to see that Daddy DeVito is living at home right now because he wants to see his grandson, and his mother is kind of just dismissive and she's not even there for the whole movie. So he's bunking with Daddy DeVito, sorry, I can't get his name wrong. And Daddy DeVito doesn't want to speak to his old friend Milo because something about shutting down a restaurant that destroyed Daddy DeVito's happiness. So Daddy DeVito makes it so extremely crystal clear that being old sucks, so that the writers have something to force a character with, because God knows this movie needs as much substance as physically possible. So Hereditary Boy, just being a dumbass, being a needy, whiny bitch, goes and decides, you know what would be a good idea? To dissect the broken Jumanji game we were sucked in the last movie and nearly fucking died in, because I want to be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson again. Sorry, it pisses me off. He disappears, and we're then subject to the characters having their little reunion, because the movie assumes that we have an emotional attachment. And then all the characters, they're sitting in the restaurant that used to be Daddy DeVito's, and they're all chatty, and the scene just goes on, and then they're like, where's Hereditary Boy, where's Spencer? Better go check on him, ha 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 ha. So that's fun, and extremely boring. And meanwhile, Will's Daddy DeVito is fighting with Milo because Milo just shows up at his door for some reason. Over that restaurant, all of Hereditary Boy's friends, and Daddy DeVito, being a total player, sees Nose Ring Girl and immediately knows that's the girl his grandson has been porking. Pondering in his age, he reflects on how horny he's been for female attention. Yeah, which makes me believe that the screenwriters have no sex drive, considering that they're dealing with Danny fucking DeVito. Like, come on. Like, everybody's gonna do that, first of all. Okay. Second of all, they decide to go in the basement because that's where the Jumanji game was at first. So, they go down and the game is on, but it's all broken and there's sparks flying everywhere to signify that it's broken, despite the fact that it's very clearly basically split in half. So the game is on and Hereditary Boy is inside of it. They just assume it. It's pretty obvious, so I guess they assume the same thing. It's still dumb though. So they turn on the game because they decide to rescue Hereditary Boy on a moment's notice, despite the fact that he's been nothing but a shitty friend who's left him in the dust and broke up with the girl because he's just a whiny incel asshole. So, the three of them, I'm pretty sure it's three, yes, because it's Big Black Football Player, Nose Ring Girl, and Dumb Blonde. Okay, those are the characters. So they turn the game on, and Nose Ring Girl and Big Black Football Player are sucked in the game, but Dumb Blonde isn't? So instead, from upstairs, Milo and Daddy DeVito are sucked in. See? That's the subversion. And just like that, they go in the world, and then something's wrong. It's not the same game anymore. The world is glitchy, and they're on a new level. So yeah, the best part of this godforsaken film is that Danny DeVito is Dwayne Johnson. Like, I will say that is the crossover that we all deserve, just not in this movie. So, Milo then gets to be Kevin Hart, Nose Ring Girl gets to be Nebula again, and Big Black Football Player, who really should be anyone else, or anywhere else, gets to be Jack Black, because isn't that funny? Making fun of obesity. Wow, how charming. Anyways, Daddy DeVito is pleased with himself for being Dwayne Johnson. Admittedly, there's some funny banter between him and Milo. It does get old pretty fast, but like that's the one like genuinely entertaining thing throughout this entire film. It's really sad. The banter kind of wears out quickly when they understand the magnitude of the situation. But the thing is, they're old, they don't get video games, they don't understand technology, so they think they're in hell or heaven or something. Anywho, they find themselves in the desert, and then all of a sudden, first the instructional guy takes them to the desert and explains the plot, and it's just useless derivative garbage. There's some evil guy, Evil McEvilface is in the land, and they have to rescue some stone, whatever. Anywho, they find themselves in the desert, and there's a shitload of ostriches chasing them, so they jump in a car, which is there, and a chase ensues, and it's not a particularly special action sequence, but you know what, it's a nice pace pusher. The ostriches are really fake looking, and not because they're like plastic or anything, but because they really stand out as like being almost entirely different lighting from the actors, which is a really weird choice considering this movie probably had like $100 million budget or something. So I don't know. So Danny DeVito tries to decide his luck, and he jumps the car over the cliff, and they are saved. So then the instructional dude, he comes back and he tells them, oh, you gotta follow the flame. And then they go to a town and they piece together that flame is Daddy DeVito's, as Dwayne Johnson character's ex-wife or something. So they can go get the key from Mr. McEvil Russian bad guy and get the MacGuffin, which will win them the game. Wow. What a fluent plot that is. So Daddy DeVito as Dwayne Johnson makes out with a 40-something-year-old woman to get the clue, and he keeps trying to make out with her. I get that she's virtual, but it's really uncomfortable. Like, sure, Dwayne Johnson, okay, that's one thing. Daddy DeVito? Come on, guy. Come on. And there's like CGI hyenas or something guarding the box, but they're barely in the movie. You think the movie plays them up as a threat by panning towards them with the canna, and they're laughing and they're eating some guy or something, but they never actually fight the hyenas, so I'm just wondering, like, the fuck was the point of even having CGI hyenas? Like, why spend the money on the CGI for them when you could have spent them on the fucking ostriches? So, they're about to steal the key, but Daddy DeVito, he doesn't know what's going on, so he screws up the whole mission, because the mission is kind of impeded by Hereditary Boy as this Japanese lady. So they reconvene later, and Hereditary Boy is just a whiny bitch about everything because he's an entitled cishet white boy who has no consequences. Because he never has had consequences. Oh my god, I fucking hate this guy. And he thought that for some ungodly reason he had to go back in the game to feel like Dwayne Johnson because he felt weak. Like, honestly, like, this is a school shooter in the making. Like, Jesus. Anyways, all the other characters spend probably roughly 0.2 seconds scolding him before just being completely done with it and the fact that it never happened. Like, what? So they have to get some fruit, which is necessary to the plot for some reason, because they really had to pad out running time to make this movie eligible to be the length of a movie, clearly, and it's just filled to the brim with filler. So Kevin Hart and Nebula jump into some glitchy water trying to reach the fruit, and they switch bodies momentarily. For 10 goddamn painfully unfunny minutes, they then decide to escape on some camels, which Milo can now conveniently talk to. Meanwhile, Daddy DeVito as Dwayne Johnson decides to massacre an entire town full of innocent people. But they all manage to escape in the end before getting blown up and losing more lives. I was not keeping track of the life count because I didn't give a shit, and I was hoping that they would all die except for maybe Daddy DeVito. So they get to the next level. So they're going to see these. They have to cross like a cliff, like a ravine, like a canyon. But there's rope bridges. But they're like little separated rope bridges, and they're all moving around. So once they get on the bridges, they start getting chased by a wave of CGI mandrails. Again, like the CGI ostriches, they don't look great, but it serves as a nice pace breaker, because the plot is getting really slow, and things are just slowing down. Especially before, when they were just walking through the desert, it was like so boring. So this is a really nice pace breaker. It's not a good action sequence though, unfortunately. It's not well choreographed, it's not very well filmed, it's nothing special, and it kind of just ends after 5 minutes. There's like some, oh no, this is their last life, because they're stupid assholes and they lose lives over ridiculous bullshit like getting into fights with each other. So after crossing those bridges, they kind of just continue. So then, cut to real life when Dumb Blonde finds a Jonas brother, who I guess was in the last movie. I don't fucking remember him. They kind of just say, oh yeah, you in the game last time. You can help us. And I'm just like, huh? I think I would recognize if a Jonas brother was in the last movie, but clearly I haven't seen that movie in 2 years. No interest in watching it again. But I would recommend it. So, Dumb Blonde is talking to Jonas brother, and she says, oh, I need your help, couldn't get in the game, we have to go back in, we have to rescue them, and he's with his fucking family, and he just stares at her, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'll go risk my life for people I barely fucking know, and even regarding the fact that I have a family that depends on me for monetary support, yeah, I'll go with you, I'll risk my life, that sounds like a fun idea, like, come the fuck on, fucking dumbass. So, they kind of go in the game, like, they have to go save the ungrateful bitch hereditary boy. That's what pisses me off about the most. Like, they're rescuing this guy who is so whiny, such a terribly written character. Like, I don't give a shit about him. He's literally the villain of this movie, because God knows, this movie doesn't have a fucking villain. It tells you it is a villain. Jesus. So, Jonas Brother and Dumb Blonde go back in the game. So Jonas Brother looks exactly like himself, I don't know why, and the Dumb Blonde literally turns into a fucking horse for no reason, but okay, like, fantastic. So, they all reconvene, and they're all ha 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 ha, and then they stumble upon more green glitchy water, and they decide to switch characters, which kind of negates the fact that they even got into new bodies from the last movie in the first place. So at this point, Jonas Brother and Dumb Blonde each have 3 lives, but because all the characters are dipshits, and the writers have no ideas, the rest of them have, like, 1 life. So, like, they die, kind of 1 life. So, all the characters from the first movie get back into their respective bodies. So that means ungrateful whiny bitch gets to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson, despite the fact that that's kind of integral to his character arc, that he doesn't get to be Dwayne Johnson, he kind of learns it separately. I mean, at this point, I don't care, like, it's just full of such awful decisions, but, yeah, you know, let's just go with it. So Daddy DeVito becomes the Asian thief girl, and they just subject Milo to becoming an actual fucking horse. Oh my god, like, this poor old man. Like, you're just gonna make him be the horse? Like, you... They're such horrible people. So anyways, their plan, because now they're in Russia or something now, because now they're in the snowy mountains. And so, Jack Black and Kevin Hart, they have to pretend to be the brothers of Evil McEvilface. Keep in mind, we don't really see anything of Evil McEvilface. Like, he's in a scene for like 2 seconds, he has no dialogue. This guy just has no character. We're expected to see, oh, he's powerful, he's an evil guy, he's so powerful. And they just tell us how powerful he is, and it's like, well, you're not showing me how powerful he is, so how am I supposed to understand the magnitude of his strength? It makes me mad. Why would they do this? It doesn't take that much effort. So then, okay, they're going up to Evil McEvilface's lair. So again, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, they're pretending to be the brothers of Mr. McEvilface. No wait, sorry. I'm getting the plot mixed up, because guess what? There's no fucking plot to this movie that actually matters. So Jack Black and Kevin Hart are pretending to be the brothers of the evil guy's supposed bride. Like, it's like, huh? Why does he need a bride all of a sudden? Like, it just comes out of nowhere. So Daddy DeVito and the horse get captured. So Daddy DeVito's the Asian girl, right? Because he's getting captured so he can go over to the vault and secure the key to open the box to get the MacGuffin. And Jonas Brother goes to rescue the horse, who they also got captured by. Like, why'd they need the horse in a prison cell? I don't know. Just go with it. So he goes in via parachute, I'm pretty sure. Like, as if Dwayne Johnson and Nebula couldn't have gone because for some reason they're fucking ice climbing up a cliff to get over to the castle. Like, huh? Oh wait, maybe it's because he died, but the fucking parachute, I can't remember. This movie's full of dumb shit. Maybe there wasn't a parachute and I'm just hallucinating. So, Dwayne Johnson and Nebula are ice climbing up a cliff to rescue Daddy DeVito and steal the gem, which is the MacGuffin, by the way. It's like some kind of gem. Like, it's supposed to, like, regrow crops or something, and they, like, ravaged it from the Africans, like, I don't know, from the natives, I don't know where this is set. It's set in the jungle for 3 seconds, then the desert, then the icy mountains, like, it's garbage. So on the way up the mountain, we are subjected to them talking about their fucking feelings. Now normally that's not like a bad thing, like I'm all for hearing people's feelings, especially when in a movie, when they're characters I actually care about. And like, fine, you can get away with Nose Ring Girl as Nebula. Like, okay, you can get away with her because at least I feel like she's a competent human being. But holy fuck, Hereditary Boy as Dwayne Johnson. Jesus, I hate this kid. I really fucking hate this kid. He's so whiny and arrogant. I hate him. I hate him. So they are talking about their feelings, which is so shallow and lacking in any substance. And it's because Hereditary Boy has this submission complex, and he's an incel. I don't care about him succeeding. I want him to actively not succeed. I don't know why any of these people are friends with him. He's just rude to them. And then all of a sudden, he just decides to act nice. Like, he hasn't been ignoring them this whole time. Like, it's not just like, oh, checking their messages and then giving them a nice little response, nudging them. Like, these people are trying to reach out to him, and he's just actively ignoring them like they've done something wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong with this guy's life. He is just sad that he went to a different college than Nose Ring Girl, and that he's not with her. Like, dude, I'm sorry. How am I supposed to feel bad for you? I'm sorry. Like, I understand that that's a really hard thing to go through, but you don't have to be an ass about it. You just fucking break up with her, and you expect me to feel bad about that for you? You didn't even try. If you came to a mutual understanding, that would be a different story. But you just decided midway through trying to make a long-distance relationship work that it wasn't, and instead of talking things through, communicating with this girl who that you're in a relationship with, you just decide to cut her out of your life because you're sad that you're not Dwayne Johnson, and that you think she doesn't like you for some reason. She's the one trying to make the fucking relationship work, you shit ass. Jesus Christ. So, they're just climbing up this fucking cliff. I'm expected to care about this guy. And for like 7 goddamn minutes, it's just shit. So they go and they climb up the cliff, and they find Daddy DeVito as the Asian girl, and they proceed to open the chest after a long, drawn-out sequence that serves as more padding time and filler, and it's fucking empty because it turns out that Mr. McEvilface is just wearing it for some fucking reason, despite the fact that the movie clearly stated that when the gem is exposed to sunlight, then it's activated, and there should be no issue with the plot. So what is going on? Why are they making it longer? So, Jack Black and Kevin Hart are pestered about not bringing their sister, and so you think, oh no, something's gonna go down, they're gonna fucking die, and then Nebula busts in to, like, just marry him or something, and then Dwayne Johnson and Danny DeVito, they start fighting, and then Nebula starts fighting, and they're all fighting. It's not an impressive action sequence, it's relatively just boring. It's actually probably worse than the last 2 action sequences, which were probably, same length when they were both combined. So Evil McEvilface takes the MacGuffin gem, and there's just a blimp outside. For some reason, he hadn't used a blimp the whole movie to get around. He's been, like, fucking traveling by foot, and all of a sudden now, he decides to whip out a fucking blimp. Like, were these filmmakers just on crack and they didn't care? Like, how can you not care so much that you're making a movie like this? Like, it's beyond my understanding. Yeah. So he just takes the blimp and he just starts flying away. And then of course Dwayne Johnson, Hereditary Boy, he's like, oh no, I'm the good guy, I'm Dwayne Johnson, and he starts to chase him. So he's trying to go after the blimp, but he manages to catch on, and so he's on the blimp with Evil McEvilface. So anyways, meanwhile, Jonas Brother, he's trying to get to the cage for the horses, and there's like a little path, and it's kind of that derivative little thing where if you step on a stone, oh no, there's like a poison dart. And I don't know who would have designed a video game like this, but he steps on just a random stone, and just a poison dart hits him in the neck, and he just fucking dies. And he loses 2 of his lives trying to rescue the horse, who's Milo, just an old man in the side of this horse, this poor old man. He finally gets him out. Okay. And so a thing in this movie is like, oh, they're in a video game, right? So each character has like special abilities. They have some weaknesses and some strengths. So he clicks on the horse, right? Like he clicks on the horse's chest, and like the screen pops up, but it's out of view of the audience because the director is like, ha ha ha, I'm a sneaky bitch, I'm a good filmmaker, ha ha ha. And so you see it, and then Jonas Brothers like, oh my god, that's neat. And it's like, I wonder what this special ability could be. Dwayne Johnson is on the blimp alone, getting his ass beat by Evil McEvil Russian McEvilface. I wonder what it could possibly fucking be. I called this out the moment it happened. I was like, okay, fine. The horse knows how to fly. He's a fucking Pegasus. And it's just like, huh? You thought that this wasn't predictable? Like, you might as well just fucking show us and save us the 5 goddamn minutes. Like, honestly. So, okay. So they're ensuing in the final battle. So Daddy DeVito gets on the horse to go help his friends. And they fly over, and everyone's like, oh my god, the horse can fly, as if like it's just. And then like what? Like Jonas Brothers like, just wait, you'll see a special ability. No time to explain. Just say like what? Like, you want to say that again, buddy? What do you mean there's no time to explain? You say, the horse can fly. You know how long it took me to say the words, the horse can fly? 1 fucking second. That is not a long story. Eat ass, you fucking twit. So anyways, they kind of just win the battle. It's really anticlimactic. The blimp just kind of explodes by itself. Like, Daddy DeVito and the horse really didn't even have to be there. And then they grab the MacGuffin and they go above the clouds, and then the gem starts working, despite the fact that there's clearly sunlight poking through the clouds. What do I know? And so Danny DeVito is like, huh? What did we rename? And then they shout, Jumanji! And somehow he's like, huh? What did they say? Jumanji? And then they just win. Like, huh? Like, how is he gonna hear you? You're on the ground. Even if you're on a mountain, he's not gonna hear you from above the fucking clouds. I can barely hear somebody 10 meters away. And Danny DeVito's like, what? Like 5 times my age? He couldn't fucking hear them. Fuck off. Oh, I guess he was a young Asian girl. Like, maybe it was the game's programming. The movie's extremely unclear about what kind of video game this even is. Like, what kind of video game just has just troll traps everywhere? I mean, like, I guess the original Super Mario Bros. 2, but that was a shit game, so I don't know what they're modeling this movie after, like what game they decided it to be, but it's just horseshit. So they're about to leave the game, right? And they decide, oh, Spencer's rescued, he's such a great guy, we made up with him, oh my god, Spencer, you don't ever have to worry about it, we're your friend, we would never want to not be your friend. And it's just like, okay, at this point, I would just cut that friendship off, because this is ridiculous. It's one thing to have a friend that's insecure, okay? This guy is not insecure. He's literally an incel. He's whiny because he's so horny for all your attention. But you live like hundreds of miles away, so oh no, they're not giving me attention. Like, he never even says they don't like me or anything. He just kind of decides that he doesn't like them and that it's their fault. Like, huh? Like, I'm struggling for words. Oh my god. So they're about to exit the game, right? And then all of a sudden, the horse's name, and it's like, huh? Milo, what are you saying? And of course, since Kevin Hart can speak to animals for some reason, he's just like, ugh, I can translate it, ha 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 ha. And then it's like, Milo wants to stay in the game. And they're like, what? Milo wants to stay in the game? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention earlier, Milo in real life is dying from like a chronic illness. That's fun, and that's why he wanted to make up with Daddy DeVito as soon as possible. And this guy just decides to stay in the game and just die in there. Like, how morbid is that? Like, they come out of the game. His body's not there or anything. Like, is his family gonna have closure? Like, what the fuck are they gonna say? Like, they're gonna go up and say, oh, by the way, we left your, like, grandfather/father in a video game, and that's where he died. And they're gonna be like, where's the body? Like, can we see the body? Are we gonna bury him? Are we gonna cremate him? And they're like, no, he was just kind of just shut off, deprogrammed, lost in, like, cyberspace, whatever. Like, what? Like, I know it's painful to go through a chronic illness. Like, I'm not trying to say it's not. But there's not even a body. Like, he just decides to stay in the game and die as a fucking horse. And then that teaches Daddy DeVito a lesson about age. Actually, it's so cool to be old, because you should be grateful for your life. It's like, at least it's a character arc. That's all I'm saying, is that at least this movie had a character arc that I didn't want to puke on. It's so derivative, it's so predictable, it's so obvious. But at least it isn't Spencer's character arc. At least it's not Hereditary Boy. Sorry, I have to call it by his proper name. At least it's not his character arc, because Jesus Christ. So they've left the game. And they're sitting at the restaurant, and Daddy DeVito comes in. He's like, oh, this is my restaurant. And, like, I guess nobody knows that Milo's dead. They're probably just gonna put him on like a disappearance kind of thing. They're gonna call the police. Oh no, this man's disappeared. They're never gonna find him again. It's like, huh? Like, they literally probably be charged for murder, because death by being sucked into a video game isn't a thing. As far as we know, the U.S. government probably doesn't know that there's just a random video game that sucks people in and tries to kill them. Like, why does this game even exist? Is it like a spiritual entity? Because it used to be a board game in 1995. So, I think what the film was doing is setting up a third film in the Jumanji reinvigorated trilogy, because the character's mom is like, ooh, we need to do plumbing, and so there's a plumber comes over, he's like, wow, I'm really into retro video games. What's that? Can I touch it? And the mom's like, yeah, sure, touch it. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with it, despite the fact that it's literally has green sparks all over it. Why didn't they fucking throw the game out again? Jesus! And so they touch the game, and it kind of cuts back to the restaurant, and then there's just, ostriches running outside, so it's like, ha 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 ha, get it? It's like the 1995 film where it was all set in real life. Oh, did I even talk about Danny DeVito's character? No, okay, wait, let's just go back to that for a second. So, they are kind of just, he's like, wow, you know, I could just get back to work in the restaurant, as if I couldn't have done this from the fucking beginning. He was forcefully retired because they sold off the restaurant. And the first thing the new owner says, hey, Daddy DeVito, you want to come help me out? Please? Like the first fucking thing she says. Have you never, if you're so upset about this restaurant, if it's ruined your life, you've never tried to go in and try to do anything? Never in your life? As far as we know, it's been 20 goddamn years or some shit. Like, huh? Because, like, Milo's wife died a while ago. And, like, I don't know if it was setting up, like, oh, is Daddy DeVito gonna get romantic with the new owner of the restaurant, Nora? I remember her name because it was at the very end of the movie. It's so ridiculous. Like, it's not something that real humans would do. This isn't regular human behavior. People who behave like this are deranged. Like, I understand that you're, oh, he's old and senile, ha 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 ha. But in the real world, he's shown to be quite a competent person. Like, it's only in the video game when he doesn't understand technology. Like, they show him like he knows what he's doing. He's like a stubborn old guy. A lot of old people are stubborn. I'll probably be stubborn as hell when I'm old. But, like, will I be stupid? Time will tell. But not that stupid to, if I'm upset about something for that long, for that amount of period of time that I've been holding it on for so long that it's changed my character, I just might as well just go and deal with it. Like, how long of my time will it would take, especially if I'm retired? Especially if I'm not living with anyone, because Daddy DeVito doesn't have, like, a spouse in this film. Especially if it, like, is in the hometown of my daughter, with the mother character who's barely in the film. Like it basically imply, oh, he doesn't live around here. He's bunking with us because he was in the hospital. So it's implied he's living fuck all. He's probably in fucking Florida or some shit. I would be if I were old Danny DeVito wanting to retire. It pisses me off. This movie pisses me off. All the characters are hateable. Like, Danny DeVito is the best part, and even I have to just want to fucking rant about him. So, yeah, anyways, this movie it was a complete disaster. It was a joke. The climax could have kind of even saved the film from being just a slugfest of just bore. But it was so incredibly boring. The whole film from beginning to end was painfully predictable. The humor at best was hit or miss, because some of it was genuinely pretty, like, giggle-worthy. Mostly the stuff with Danny DeVito. But then a lot of it was missed, and it was just left blank-faced looking at the screen. The music, I can't remember any of the music. I can actually remember the old Jumanji, like the 1995 Jumanji theme pretty well. For some reason, they barely use it throughout the movie. Like, they don't use any, like, okay, no, it's in the movie a few times from what I remember, but, like, there's no memorable music. It's all just stock shit, nothing special. It's pretty lousy. Cinematography, it wasn't special either. Like, the camera movements, it was just flat, monotone, nothing fluent about the movement of the camera. Nothing about, like, a color filter was any good. I found that the effects were pretty bad, not because they were necessarily unrealistic, but because they didn't match up with the lighting. Like, the blimp CGI, it was incredibly darkly lit, despite the fact that the actual characters, it looked like they were on, like, a soundstage, because they were so well lit. There was such a contrast between what was real and what was VFX, that it was so jarring to look at. Not because the VFX were inherently bad. I'm always gonna send my regards to VFX artists. They're very underappreciated. But this movie it looked bad because it looked like there were two different things slapped from different planes of existence just on top of each other. The production design in particular, which is like all the set design, it sucked hard. It did one of those tropes where it's like, oh, the little soundstage section is dressed with props, but all the background is green screen. So there's, like, again, planes of existence, there's a big contrast, and it's so noticeable, and it makes it look ugly, because the plants on the set, which is necessary because otherwise the actors wouldn't be able to, like, actually be there, they look plastic and fake, and all of the stuff in the background, it looks pretty, but it looks incredibly fake because it pops out, because it's so obvious it's on a soundstage green screen. And it's just so unfortunate. You think a movie with such, like, at least a moderately high budget would be able to get around. Like, a director who's directing these types of like bigger budget films should know what to do in terms of these VFX situations. I can't imagine this movie would have been rushed into production aside from the awful script. And the runtime was just padded out with constant filler. All the time. It was just get on with the plot. This movie could be literally an hour and 20 minutes long, but it's stretched out with 40 minutes of filler, it feels like. And that's the thing, is that when you fill a movie just with constant filler, with a plot that's convoluted, makes no sense, and it's filled with boring characters, the movie is going to be boring, which is the worst crime any movie can have. At least a movie like Cats, even though I can say that it's like a bore, sure, it's at least like a fun boring, like if that even makes any sense. I'm sure people understand what I mean when I say it's a fun boring. But, you know, like, it has enough charm and genuine passion that it's at least, you know, watchable. Like, it's fun because it's ironically bad, but this movie's just the type of bad that's the worst kind. It's the unwatchable bad. It's the type of bad where you could get drunk with and fall fucking asleep. It's the kind of bad that you would also probably fall asleep while trying to watch it high. It's the worst type of bad any Hollywood blockbuster movie can be. It's safe, it's boring, it's predictable, it's dull, it's dimly lit. It's poorly written. Like, movies can be shit and can at least still be fun, and that's why it's like, oh, I'll give a little leeway, I can give this film a 2 just because it has some merit to watching it once. And I would say, like, oh, you could give this type of movie, it's technically speaking competently made, and like give it like a 5 or some shit, like that's what all the critics are doing. I don't agree with that. When a movie is safe and boring and predictable, it's the worst it can be. It's basically taking a project and removing the artistic value from it. It has no merit. It has no art. It isn't art. And I am so fucking glad that I didn't pay to see this shit. And I think I'll give Jumanji a little bit of credit for having a little bit of humor, so I'm gonna give it a solid, maybe like 0.5, maybe a 1 out of 10. Anyways, I highly, highly recommend that you watch pretty much anything else in theaters if you're deciding to go see any movie in a theater. There's a lot of shitty movies out right now. Blockbusters are kind of getting gradually worse, especially this year. Hopefully next year will be better. But yeah, please save yourself the trouble. This movie's bad. It really is. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that long-ass review. Thank you, and goodbye.